Haven't the sessions been amazing? Isn't it fantastic being back with the family again? Absolutely wonderful. You know, Churchill said, success is going from challenge to challenge with much enthusiasm. Right? I'm sure you've heard this, somebody got a knock on the door. Faith answered. Let me just get you the right saying here, right? Okay. Fear knocked, faith answered, there was nobody there. And so you need to have faith to overcome your challenges. And so I'm here with two incredible panelists, right? But I'm going to surprise them with a question that they're not prepared for. And the question, they're going to give their answer in a few seconds' time. But your first question is, we've got a lot of brand new people here. When you saw the opportunity, what is the first big challenge that you went home and thought, oh my gracious me, how am I going to do this? And mine was time. I had 4 different companies, 200 staff. And when they said you need about 8 to 10 hours a week, I opened my diary and I worked Monday night, I worked Tuesday night, I worked Wednesday night, I worked Thursday night, I worked Friday night, day and night. I was doing things and I had to find a way. So I took everything in my diary that was in the evenings. I was part of the church on Wednesday evening. I was part of the Farmers Association on a Thursday evening. I was doing house church on another night. So every night I had something. And I just phoned each group and I said, I'm not doing this anymore. You see, my biggest challenge initially was to find time. That was the first, I couldn't do this if I didn't find the time.
Mine was to actually look at people. I used to hide away as much as possible. So when I would go out, and Louis would say, Laverne, I need you to get this in town, but you're not allowed to come back unless you had a name. That to me was the hardest thing, because I would walk with my head down, looking down, and I just went to where I needed to go, got what I needed, and went straight back home. And Louis would say, did you get a name? And I'd say, no. But you know, there's a choice in this business, and every speaker today has been or this evening has just been incredible, because you can choose to say, I can't, and that's not who I am. Or you can say, I want to change, and so therefore I will do what needs to be done. And it took a little while, but eventually I learned to go out and look at people and get a name. Oh, you got your own.
Excellent.
My challenge was, I was a teacher, but doing neo-life is not like teaching, because when you approach your students, you are the one who know it all, or at least you pretend you do. But talking to people that have different backgrounds, they know better than you. You really need to be prepared. So I was really feeling, can I do this? Because I'm not a specialist. I don't know about it. But I was always told that God will never give you a challenge that you cannot overcome. So my decision was, let me learn. And I was lucky because we have all these environments where we can learn. The uplines were there to support, and that was the way I started doing and learning.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that, Rob. Aren't they incredible? They're absolutely incredible. They are. You know, the bigger the challenge, the bigger the struggle, the bigger the victory. Challenges aren't there to destroy you. They're there to mold you and help you become a better person. I remember Charlie phoning one day, and he said, Louis, I hear you going through major financial struggles. He said, I am so excited for you. I was not excited for me, right? I was feeling miserable for me. Have you ever gone through a money problem and you feel miserable for you? You're so broke you couldn't pay attention. You're so poor when you walked past the bank, the alarm went off. And that's where I was. And then he carried on to say, this is the worst time in your life. It can only get better. Your business is only going to get better. Your income's only going to get better. And you see, that was another struggle I had to come through. But these beautiful folks who have got struggles they want to share with you right now.
Okay, so another one of mine was I went to training and I thought I would just sit there and listen and learn until one day Andy calls me up and says, Laverne, why don't you come to the front? I obeyed. I went to the front and he said, now why don't you turn around and tell the people what your name was? I didn't answer. I just shook my head. He said, are you not going to tell them what your name is? Nope. So I said, well, why don't you just tell them what you and your husband do? He said, are you not really going to say one word? And I went and I sat down and I went home and Louis heard about it.
So then what happened, this company's very clever. We got a lifestyle magazine in the mail. And that lifestyle magazine was showing people earning $9,000 a month in their first year. And I thought, wow, that's exciting. So I said, next week, I'm going to take her to training. And they're not going to force us to talk. But guess what? When we arrived at training that night, Andy said it's going to be a phoning evening. And the ladies are going to talk about products. And the men are going to go through and phone. Well, I was so terrified because this is going to be her business. I wasn't going to speak to anybody. She was going to make me rich. And so he said, well, the men come through to this room and phone. And I went through there, said, Louis, do you have any phone numbers with you? Well, I had no numbers, but I quickly written down 3 names on the back of an envelope that I had there. And so he said, oh, that's easy, where they live. So, they lived in East London. We had a little telephone book that big. We looked up the number, and he said, phone them. So what am I going to say? He had a phone script up there. Well, I tell you what, I was so nervous. You know, my knees were knocking. Has this ever happened to you? You need padding between your knees. And my phone call went like this. Hello, Cassie, it's Louis. You want to make money? Or it was so fast that I was hoping he didn't know what I'd even said. But he said yes. And I thought, this man's stupid. I don't even want to do this, right? And he says yes. But guess what? I went home. How did I overcome my challenge? I unplugged my telephone. I put a recorder out there. And I did phone call after phone call with the telephone not plugged in the wall. And I would then say to Laverne, what do you think? She said, if you phoned me like that, I wouldn't be interested. And I'd go back and I'd rewrite my script over and over until I had the confidence to, because I'd now done 200 phone calls without the phone plugged in. And then I plugged it in and I started doing calls. You see, you have to find a way to overcome your challenges, whatever they are. We are so privileged to have Edelinda right now. She's going to share her challenge with us.
When I was thinking about challenges, I thought not a challenge that I overcame, but a challenge that downline overcame. I have a downline that suddenly, without notice, she received an information that she was not more employed. And when she told me about this, I can tell that I was even more down than she was. But I'm so glad that she was so positive and said, no, I'm not going to look for another job. I'm going to do my Neolife business. It's the opportunity that I was given to do my Neolife business better with more time. And a situation that normally makes people go down and get desperate made her decided that she was going strong. And I saw her coming and going and working all the time. And now I see the results coming through. That was a challenge, but it becomes a victory, and I'm sure it will become a higher victory.
Fantastic. You're absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. Another challenge I want to quickly talk about is Laverne and I, we had our first health talk. And remember, it was Laverne's business. I knew nothing about health. This is what I knew. I knew Coke was the best drink in the world because it tastes the best. Right? I only found out Coke was bad when Charlie came to me one day and I had a Coke in my hand. I was just opened the can. And he said, "Is there anybody you really hate?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Give them this poison." I said, "What?" And he took it out my hand, he threw it away. And that was my first meeting, first event, right down Port Alfred. And so that's the first time I found out Coke was bad for you. And so we got a first health meeting. We've invited this person around. Laverne sets up the whole demonstration. She's incredible. The car comes over the grid. She goes to the bedroom. I thought she was going to put some lipstick on, things like that. It was her business, remember? Right? Well, she vanishes. And I go knock on the bedroom door. And I said, "Sweetheart, they're here." She said, "Yes, she knows." I said, "When are you coming out?" She said, "I'm not." I knew nothing about nutrition. So I get back there. I said, "What I'm going to teach these people?" So I taught them about Super 10. I washed their hands with LDC and I washed the carpet with Super 10. And they want to join. So I don't know how this thing works. I said, "My wife will be feeling better tomorrow. She'll come around and help you." Well, guess what I discovered? I remember saying to Laverne, she comes out the door when they're gone. She says, "Oh, Louis, I'm so sorry. I just had..."
Stage fright.
Yeah, just had stage fright. She couldn't face it. So I said, "Don't worry, this business is easy. You phone people, you talk so fast they can't hear what you're saying. They want to join. You invite people to a health talk, you wash their hands and they want to join." I said, "We're going to get rich." Why am I telling you this? The only bad meeting is the one you never did. The only bad phone call is the one you never did. Because each time you're going to learn from them. You're going to grow from them. You know, the last thing I want to say to you over here is my first business meeting I did. I remember going to do a meeting for Hilton in King Williamstown. And I knew nothing about this business. My entire presentation was 10 minutes long. My first meeting I did. And I took a calendar and I stuck it in his wall with tape. And when I pulled it off, all the paint came off his wall. I remember my close was, this was my close, and everybody joined. I said, "I didn't know God made people so stupid that they would rather pay more for trash than less for quality." And that was my close. And everybody says, "Well, I don't want to be stupid. I don't know if they did anything," but they joined the opportunity. So what am I saying? The purpose of this session was here to help you realize we all have to grow. We all have to become better people. That everybody's got struggles. And you have to go from each struggle you have with a great attitude, with a smile on your dial, and become a better person, and don't let it pull you down. Have you got any more tips? Thank you so much. God bless.